Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode here in NHL 22. So last episode was a pretty big episode. We managed to make a trade to bring in the rights to Matvei Michkov, and then we re-signed him to a long 8-year extension. And yeah, basically our team is going through a complete revamp this offseason. And I'm very excited to see what this team could do this upcoming year. As you can see, we still have guys like Geeky, we still have Farinacci, but we might not for much longer. We also still have like Agostino and a couple other pieces, the younger guys that we signed in the offseason and stuff like that, like McGillis and Shishkinov. But yeah, Matvei Michkov, here he is, 95 at 25. Very excited to see what he could do. It might be a bit of an expensive contract and extend 11.6, but when this guy's going to put up maybe like 50, 60 goals, I definitely think he's worth the money. Now, somebody like Shelley, who's been degrading, is not really worth his money, so at some point, if he's not producing still and putting up back to like 30, 40 goals, he might end up getting traded at some point if we could find a way to get rid of that contract, just because 7.2 for him is way too much. I was thinking this guy was going to score like 40 goals a season, and then that would definitely be worth it, but right now it has not been the case. We also still have Sadikov and Redmond, who we got in from Dallas via the Zadina trade a couple episodes back. And in our defensive core still has Chikrin, Dobson, Sasaki, Tukinen, Guerrero, and DeMaio is probably going to be back in the minors for another year, I think. But for the most part, our defensive core is looking a little bit barren, so we might add a couple defensive pieces this offseason. And in goalie-wise, right now we have Jones, but we do have a couple RFAs that are qualified right now, and that's Pedersen, mainly because he wants a lot of money. And we need a lot of money to sign some big free agents, and then there's also Gallagher and Scholes. So our roster is pretty much looking the exact same as last year, except for we got Michkov in instead of Lawrence, because Lawrence was part of that trade. And now we're going to be looking to make some big free agent signings and maybe a couple trades in this episode. So his team is going to still go through a little bit more revamps going into next year's season. But anyways, before we get into free agency and making some trades potentially, we do have a couple comments to go over. So the first one is from Pens Gaming 7. He says, my recommendation is just to sign a top line center and a top defenseman and fill depth with the kids. Possible deadline trade to get better depth if the team is looking like a cup contender. Hughes or Stützle also has low points, would do better on your team with the better players. I would try and target higher overalls to do better in the sim. So yeah, that's pretty much the gist of most comments, but there's a couple of other ones that go more in depth. But yeah, I totally agree. I think we definitely need to go for the higher end players because we haven't been doing that really in the last few years. And if we could get some good high end players in for like 1 to 2 year contracts, maybe sometimes even longer, our team should be a little bit more competitive and whatnot. The next comment is from Alien Pete. He says, Byfield is definitely somebody to bring in, still has elite potential, so his overall could go up. So Quinton Byfield was on the trading block, and he's definitely somebody that we're looking at trading for because his value has really plummeted for some reason in Los Angeles. Like, I don't know if it's because he just had a really bad season or if the LA Kings are not really playing this guy that well. Because as you can see, 18 points in 82 games, but the year before he had 55 points. We are more than likely still going to be trading for him. It's just because his ice time dropped off by like almost 3 minutes, which is kind of nuts. So hopefully we could bring him in and get him in for our second line more than likely because of the fact he also does fit our power play lines potentially too. And yeah, he's only making 6.69, so we're probably going to end up making a trade with the LA Kings to bring him in. And that will probably be our first thing we do after I go through these rest of these comments. So next comment is from Cody Legaspi. He says, I would like to see Riley brought in on defense, good offensive threat for cheap. So we were looking at that OFD in the free agent pool at the end of last episode. I definitely think I'll bring him in if I can. And then the final comment, or it's a couple of comments actually, is from Hawksfan88 and a combination of Alien Pete. So Hawksfan says, I think you need to go after Hughes so you could be get a good playmaker for Michkov. Also, I think you should go after Mackey to give your defense a boost. I think it would be also smart to go after Swayman or DiPietro since Pedersen isn't a good playoff goalie. Lastly, I would try and find a solid third line to a forward if you could afford it. And I was asking if we should bring in Byfield, and Hawksfan didn't think so at first, but then Alien Pete kind of changed his mind. Alien Pete said, I agree with you on getting Mackey. Not sure about Hughes. I think Byfield would be the better choice. He's younger and a power forward, which I like. His trade value is also very low. If you could find a way to move Farinacci and clear up his cap hit, I think a Hughes Byfield as our centers would be ideal. I have a feeling Byfield would make a return to form and put up 60 plus points, but to have both would require moving Farinacci. Think Byfield would re-sign for a fair price given his morale is currently down, and I think a first line of Michkov, Byfield, Agostino, sniper, power forward, playmaker would work nicely for the chemistry as well. Just my many different thoughts, and then yeah, Hawksfan agreed with it because he didn't realize that Agostino was a playmaker. So, yeah, so basically we're going to try and make that Byfield trade, and we are going to be trying to get rid of Agostino's contract, which I think we could do in the same trade. So that will be interesting. It will save us a little bit of cap space. I didn't really want to move Farinacci, but his contract is a bad one. It's one of the worst ones on our team. He's still making 8.85 for 3 years, and he actually still has a decent chunk of trade value, as you can see. 8.25, 3 years, and yeah, that'll help us shed some cap space. And yeah, Farinacci has kind of struggled a little bit as of the last few years, kind of similarly to Shelley and whatnot. Because as you can see, he had like 81 points here, but every single season afterwards, he's kind of dropped off, and his ice time is getting less and less, I think, each season. So yeah, we're going to trade Farinacci to the Los Angeles Kings, and we are going to get Byfield in this trade. I think I might also trade away another player in this trade to kind of give us even more cap space. Or I could do potentially a different trade and not throw this player in. Depends on if they have prospects and stuff like that, because I am thinking of getting rid of also Sadikov, because Sadikov has really dropped off a lot in terms of his production, and he's still making like over $3 million, was it? Yeah, he's making 3.5 for one more season after this, which isn't terrible, but we do need to free up the cap space to sign some big free agents. So let's add him to this deal as well, because LA wants both of them. And let's see if we could take back a very solid draft pick, or do they have any good prospects on the block that might help us out down the road? Let's see what we got here. Nothing really. Any good potential players? No, a lot of low top sixes and low top nines. Stuff that aren't really going to pan out. Goalie-wise, there's nothing either. Yeah, there's not really anything I could add to this and stuff. Yeah, so I guess I'll just have to add draft picks. They do not want to get rid of their first round pick, so I probably won't be able to get that, I don't think. It does look kind of fair. It looks like we have a little bit less value, so I think we have to take back maybe like a second for this year, and we could take a second for next year maybe. I don't know, that might be too much too. And maybe that one works, I don't know. Might be a little bit too much still though. Let's try a second and a third. Is that too much? No, that looks fair. So Farinacci and Sadikov for Byfield, and in St. Louis's second and LA's third. And basically that will bring us down to like, it'll give us $5 million or so extra cap space, which is pretty good considering there's some big name free agents we want to go after and whatnot. So I don't really like moving Farinacci and Sadikov, but we have to kind of clear up some cap space and bring in some new players and kind of revamp this team, like I said. So we'll just go through. That is accepted. So apparently we could have probably got more back for that, because apparently they made out like gangbusters. But it is what it is. I think that was a pretty solid trade. The only thing is trading away Farinacci does screw with the chemistry for Shelley and whatnot. But I think that was a good trade for us to make. So now that we got Byfield in, has his overall risen out of curiosity? It has not. So he's still an 85, but he is going to be getting more ice time with us than he was probably in Los Angeles. So we got 2 centers so far, and now we need to make all those signings you guys suggested. Now, we probably won't be able to bring in one of those goalies, I don't think, just because of the cap space we have. So I think we're still going to run with Pettersson for next year. So I don't know if we're going to bring in Swayman or DiPietro. If we do bring in another goalie, it would probably just be a lower-end goalie. Because literally paying $5 million to a goalie is not always the thing that you want to do. But we are going to prioritize, obviously, bringing in Jack Hughes. And I think I'll probably just give him like a 1-year deal for now. Maybe. I don't really know how much I should give him. He wants a lot of money. But he's definitely the best option. We also could go after Stützle. We have 29 million to sign some of these guys. Jack Hughes fits the second line pretty well. You know what? We're going to sign Hughes, and we are going to give him... Let's give him a 2-year deal. Why not? 2-year deal, and we'll give him more money than he wants. But we need to make sure we have enough cap space to sign all these big guys. I mean, if Pettersson gets qualified by a team, maybe we let him go and still sign one of those goalies that Hawks fan was mentioning. So there's always a change there that could potentially happen. So there's our offer sent to Jack Hughes. Hopefully he accepts that, because we are bringing in a lot of good players in this free agent pool. I also think we're going to bring in Mackey, like Hawks fan was mentioning, because I don't think DeMaio is really ready to get into our defensive core, so we will sign him up as well. I will give him... He's only 25. That's not bad. Let's give him 4x7, maybe? No, I don't know. I don't want to lock him up too long term, but then again, we are losing Chychrun potentially next offseason. So let's do a 2-year deal as well. And let's just give him $7 million. I don't think any other team is going to be interested in him. So we are going to do that, which would knock us down by a decent amount of cap space already. I don't know if we're going to be able to find a third line two-way forward. We might have to wait until later into free agency to do so. So next we're going to go after Riley, since that's what Cody recommended. And I was thinking he would be a good player to bring in anyways too, because he's an OFD. He doesn't want too much, and he might work with our power play players. So, and if we put him on the power play with like Michkov and stuff, this guy might produce. Chicago does have interest in him, so we'll give him a little bit more than he's asking for. 2x2. Hopefully he accepts, and I think those are the guys I'm going to prioritize in this free agent pool, and I think I'll wait on a couple others for now. But let's start advancing a couple days and see if we could get those guys in, and if we do, that would be great. Jack Hughes is the most important one, obviously, because we need that top line center, and Riley's going to accept, which is great. So that's one of the defensemen. Jack Hughes goes to Tampa. That is not good. Mackey doesn't go to us either. That is not good. I needed both of them. I should have given them more money, but both of them go to a different team, which means we need to go back to UFA. There's not any great centers out there anymore. Damn, we lost our chance on one of the two of them. We could go back to Barrett Hayton, but I don't think that's great. We might go with like Dylan Strome, but he's 33, so he might regress. Reese is a playmaker. Nolan Patrick wants a lot of money. He's a second liner. Does have good stats. Does fit our top line. He actually put up a decent amount of points last year in Pittsburgh. So, you know what? Nolan Patrick actually might be the good option. So, we are going to give Nolan Patrick a 1-year deal, which might be an overpayment right now. But I'm going to try and talk him down a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to try and talk him down quite a bit, because no other team's going to pay him $11 million. So if I could get him for 1 year and 10, I will do that, I think. And then, since that would be our centerman, we do need still a defenseman, because we just lost out on Mackey, and there's not really any other good defensemen out there, which kind of sucks. But we did get Riley, which is good. I actually need to take a look at our defensive core again, just to make sure we actually have like kind of roster room for another defenseman. But of course, these free agents are going to sign in other places. I don't know if that's going to come back to bite us, but yeah, Jack Hughes was asking quite a bit. So currently we got 1, 2. I don't really know if Dobson's a top 2 defenseman. 3 and 4, 5 and 6. I think we are okay on defense, but we could probably still bring in another, and then Guerrero could be a depth defenseman, because I don't see Guerrero being like an 80+ overall. So, yeah, we could still probably sign one more defenseman just to make ourselves a little bit more solid on defense. And then I got to make sure we have enough forwards. I was also recommended a third-line two-way forward, which we might have the cap space for now, depending on how the contracts are doing and stuff like that. So let's go to defense, and let's go to overall. So these are the best overall defenders, which is not really that great. A lot of them are older. I would prefer somebody that's like younger, but there's not really anything out there. Yeah, we're not going to get ourselves a top solid defenseman, but what could we get? Levy might fit our top 4, which is not that bad. Brandon Carlo fits our second pairing potentially as well. And same potentially with Ryan Pollock. That's not bad. Same with Vince Dunn. Who had the better seasons out of these guys? I'm curious on these guys' point totals. So Levy is not really good. Most of them are putting up around the same amount of points. Sami Nico seems to be the best, though. He just had 38 points and a plus 30 in Carolina. You know what? Sami Nico might be the best option, to be honest. But he wants $6 million, which is quite a bit. I want to find somebody that's relatively cheap that actually is pretty solid, too, though. Ryan Pollock on a 1-year deal wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't know if I really want Levy because of how expensive he is. What do we want to do? Is there any good defensemen on the trading block? This might be a little bit of a long episode because I do still want to try and simulate a couple games. But let's take a quick look and see if there's any defensemen on the block that could help us out instead. Oh, wow. Dylan Cousins is on the trading block. That would be a good top-line center if for some reason we don't get the other dude, but he doesn't fit our team really that well. Theo Rochette's signed for multiple years. So the trading block is changing up a little bit. Just got to quickly see if there's anything out there. Bean, Hronik, Sanheim, no thank you. Actually, wait, we were looking for defensemen, but those guys are all signed for multiple years. We want a rental pretty much if we could find one. Joel Eriksson is signed for 2 years, but he is a good top-line player potentially for us, but he's also similar to Byfield in the amount of points he puts up. What else we got here? Nolan Foote, Wenberg. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be really... Oh, there's something decent. Sharon Govich. He actually puts up a good amount of points on a good team. 76 points last year. Does fit our top line. If for some reason we can't get that center I just sent a contract to, we will try and go for Sharon Govich, I think. But his trade value is kind of high, so I don't think I have the stuff to move for him, which is not great. Yeah, his value is too high. Maybe we won't trade for him. Anything else? Lundestrom on 1 year left as well is not bad. There's a lot of options out there for trades if we want to actually start making some trades in this episode other than that Farinacci deal. Maybe I shouldn't have thrown Sadikov into that trade. I don't know. Velarde, but he probably doesn't fit our system. Okay, so there's not really anything we could trade for, so I guess we will just go to free agency and sign ourselves one of those defensemen, and then we'll have to maybe sign ourselves a third liner, depending on if we have the cap space, because we kind of have to figure that out a little bit. So defensively, we will sign... Who do I want to sign? Who had the better season out of them? 21 points, 19 points. Yeah, Levy's technically the best out of the bunch. Damn, Pollock was a minus 35. Axel Anderson, plus 32. That's not bad. You know what? Axel Anderson might be the best option. He's only 30. We'll give him a 1 year deal, and I will try and talk him down as well because he's asking for a ridiculous amount of money, I think. We'll try him 4.75. I don't know if he'll accept that because it's less than he's asking for, but we'll try that. And yeah, we'll wait on the other stuff for now, just to make sure we get what we need first with the amount of cap space we have. And will we get these guys? Yes, we get Anderson. That's good. Helps out our defense a little bit more. Nolan Patrick goes back to the Flyers. God damn it. So we still don't have that top line center that I need. Because if we look at our team right now, we got 24 million in cap space. We got 1, 2, potentially a fourth liner, I guess. McGillis could also play center. So yeah, we technically still need a top line center to play with Michkov. Actually, Byfield could probably play in that spot. Geehy's probably a third liner. So how much forwards we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Yeah, our team is going to look a little bit weak on the bottom 6 this year, but it is what it is. Defensively, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay, that's not too bad. Okay, so yeah, we definitely still need to trade ourselves for a center, which I think we could potentially do. Because Joel Eriksson Ek was out there, and who was the other center that I was looking at? Let's go back to the trade block. I think we'll do another trade for top line center. Maybe I shouldn't have moved out Farinacci. I don't know. I think Cousins would be a good option, but the thing is, he doesn't really fit our system. He's a two-way forward. I don't really know if he's that high of an overall even. Like, his value is pretty high up. Who is the other center I was potentially looking at other than Joel Eriksson Ek? I just want to make sure we're finding ourselves the right center for this team. Swayman signed already in Minnesota, so we're not going to be able to bring back Jeremy Swayman, but that's okay. Oh, Sharon Govich, that's who it was. What the heck is the Devils' asking price for somebody like Sharon Govich, I'm wondering. Let's go to Find Trade, see if New Jersey has an offer for us for Sharon Govich. Because I do have prospects I could move. Sharon Govich, no trades found, of course. Okay, let's try and make ourselves a trade with New Jersey. I don't know how much of the season we're going to simulate in this episode because we are trying to completely revamp this team. But I think Sharon Govich would be the good one to have for our top line center just because we lost out on everybody else that we were trying to go for. So Sharon Govich has a good amount of value. Let's go to Skaters matching block. We could give up on Rabbit. Yeah, I could definitely give up on Rabbit to start. Rabbit's not going to probably pan out. He's 67-21. He does have elite potential, but I don't think he's going to make it. And they do want some picks as well, which is okay with me. We could always flip the third-round pick that we just got from the LA Kings. Yeah, that might work. Rabbit in a third for Sharon Govich. Let's try that. That's accepted. So there we go. We got rid of a pick we just lost out or got from a trade. We gotta get rid of a top prospect in Rabbit who might not pan out, and we get in Sharon Govich for 1 year to give us ourselves a top line center. Now I think our team is pretty much set, right? We have 19 million and we still got some RFAs to deal with. So right now we got 3, 6, 9, 12, but we also do have another couple forwards that are still RFAs that we'll sign for relatively cheap. And then we still got Pedersen as our starter, whose asking price should come down. So I think we're good. Yeah, let's begin the sim up to next season. We made a lot of changes to this team. We got rid of Farinacci. We brought in Sharon Govich. We brought in a couple players in free agency. It's very interesting to see how this team does this upcoming year because there's a couple pieces that have been here for the entire time still. And interesting, Gallagher got sent a qualifying offer, but we're going to match it because Cyrus Gallagher is a part of this team because we definitely need him for like our third line now that we got rid of Dobson. Or not Dobson, what am I saying? I just saw Dobson, that's why I said that. Got rid of that Russian dude, Sadikov. Couldn't remember his name. I almost said Sharon Govich, who we just traded for. There's too many names to keep track of with all the off-season moves we've done. Like, I don't think I've ever had an off-season where I've sold out on a lot of players on our team that much. But we should have the cap space to sign some of our guys. Pedersen's still trying to hold out. Let's go back to him and give him a contract because his asking price has probably dropped off a lot. And we do have cap space still. Let's also get Schultz signed. He still wants over $1 million, but we'll sign him to it because why not? Gives us another roster player potentially. And what does Pedersen want now? Barely anything good. We'll sign him for 1 year, and we still have cap space to make more trades this upcoming season, which is good. So let's begin to continue to sim up to next season. And then we will adjust our lineup, and hopefully our lineup is looking pretty good chemistry-wise because I'm kind of concerned with all the trades we've made that some of these guys might not work out with the team or not. So should be interesting to get our lineup set up, and then we'll probably simulate only like 1 or 2 months just to kind of get our feet wet and see how good guys like Michkov do with this team. Okay, so right now, wise chemistry is not great, but okay, there we go. Sharon Govich, Agostino, Michkov works really well. That's good to see. We will move Byfield to that second line with Shelley for sure, and then we got to figure out who we also want to use up there. Shishkinov, yep, we're gonna use Shishkinov there. Gallagher, Redmond, and Geeky. You know what? I actually kind of like the looks of this team. How good is Sapolvyov on center? 76. McGillis is better. He was scratched at the moment. LaRose. Okay, LaRose needs to be in the lineup over Sapolvyov, or actually over Anisimov, I think. Yeah, I think we got to get LaRose in here. Let's take out Sepulveda for now. But LaRose needs to come in for sure. Yeah, I think LaRose will be our third liner for now. Gallagher. Yeah, Gallagher could be on the fourth line. That's no problem there. Okay, so yeah, our team is looking actually pretty good in terms of balance in our lineup. I like it. Our center depth is actually okay. It might be the best we've had in a while. So Agostino, Sharangovich, Michkov, Shelley, Byfield, and Shishkinov. Then LaRose, Geeky, and Redmond. Gallagher, McGillis, and Anisimov. Defensively, good chemistry. I like that. Who scratched? Riley. I don't like that, really. We might have to make a defensive change in terms of trading, because Guerrero has jumped up to an 81. I would like to move, with Sasaki into the top 4. He works really well with Tukinen. Does Anderson work better anywhere else? Not really. So yeah, Axel Anderson might complain about his ice time. And I really would like to get Riley into our lineup, but I don't really know if we can. So at the moment, we'll keep it like this, but Riley might not play the beginning of the season, but I would like to get this guy in because he looks like he could be a really good player to have on our power play. Goalie-wise, Pettersson's an 87 and Jones. So yeah, our team's looking okay. Some guys might complain about ice time. I will also call up Schulz as another depth option for forward just because I know he's not going to really do much more. Technically, DeMaio is almost getting close to being ready, but we aren't going to use him in the NHL this year because I'd like to wait on him a little bit longer. I don't want to rush his development. Let's just go best lines in the minors. Make sure everybody is in that should be. We'll get Vorobev in instead of somebody that's old, if there is one, instead of Semenov, just to get our younger guys in first. So this could probably change around. There you go. That's good. So we also have a lot of low leads down here. This third line, or second line, is all low lead players. That's pretty good. Defensively, it looks pretty good except for that third pairing because we have more forwards than defense down there. That's not good since we traded away Rabbit. I guess we'll run with something like that, which is not great. Hornquist is an 81. Wow, okay, I didn't expect him to jump up to a low lead backup goalie already. So that's also kind of an interesting question is, do we call up Hornquist and just get rid of Pettersson? I know he's a good goalie right in a regular season, but his stats in the playoffs are terrible. And we could run Hornquist and Jones, which are two 81s. Might be something we do. I could have probably taken some compensation for somebody like Pettersson if somebody wanted to qualify him, but it is what it is. Okay, so now that that is set up, let's simulate a little bit of the season. I know this episode's already like 25 minutes or so, but I would like to see how this team could do with the additions of Matvei Michkov, Sharangovich, all those type of players. Because we've pretty much revamped our team to a pretty big extent. Getting rid of Farinacci was kind of a one that I didn't really want to do because Farinacci was with us since the beginning pretty much, but it is what it is. So let's see how we do preseason-wise, and then we'll do 2 months of simulating, I think, just to get some simming out of the way. And yeah, hopefully this team is pretty good considering it's Chikrin's last year here potentially. So 5-2 in the preseason, that's pretty good. Michkov almost a goal a game. You'll love to see that. Hopefully he can do that during the regular season because that top line is pretty revamped. Agostino has 2 new line mates, so very excited to see what Agostino could do with somebody like Michkov. Okay, let's do our first month of action, see how good we are. We don't have a whole lot of games this month. We do have 3 games against Calgary in the first month, which is kind of weird. Don't think I've seen that before. We lose our opening game 5-3. That's not great. We didn't win 5-1, and we win 3-2. Eugene Howe is back already for the AHL. Hopefully that AHL team doesn't get slammed with injuries all the time. There you go. Game against Calgary again, 3-0 loss. 3-0 win over St. Louis. Game against Calgary, 3-2 loss, and we win there. So our 3 losses this month came to the hands of the Calgary Flames. So I guess the Calgary Flames are, a good team, 7-1. Okay, so I can kind of see why. And Michkov's almost a goal a game, and he's got 9 points in 7 games. So very good pickup. And our top line is definitely doing good. Hopefully we could get Sharangovich re-signed because he does fit our top line pretty well. So right now that top line is gelling pretty good. And that's exactly what I needed from them when I made those trades. Let's go 1 more month up to December the 1st. And see if we could continue to win games. And hopefully we could keep our top line producing. Because if our top line continues to produce, we have a better shot for sure at making it. But right now, we're still kind of struggling out of the gate in terms of our record. I don't know what the reasoning is, if it's defense, if it's goaltending. A couple more games, couple more wins though. That's good. And we're 10-7-4, so a little bit of a weird start. Michkov is still producing really well, so our top line is definitely doing stuff. Let's take a quick look at our player stats and our team stats, and then I think that will be it for this episode. I don't know if we'll make any trades next episode or not. It really depends on how this team does, because right now we're scoring 3 goals per game. Our goals against is really good, so apparently we're not scoring enough goals. So maybe our top line is doing good, but every other line is struggling. I don't really know. We could try and move Byfield up and put Sharangovich to the second line if we want to, but looks like our offense is not doing that great. And it looks like we're a good defensive team out of the gate. Let's take a quick look at those player stats. So currently, if we go to centers, Sharangovich has been really good. So yeah, that top line is definitely doing good. Byfield's doing really good on the second line. He's returning to form. You'll love to see that. Both these guys are on 1-year deals, so hopefully we can re-sign them. Geeky's off to a little bit of a slow start for a third liner, but it is what it is. I might have to adjust the power play lines a little bit. Did Shelly get put on the power play? He did, and he's putting up points again. You'll love to see that. That's great. Agostino, though, 21 points, 21 games, really good. Shishkinov is playing pretty good. I guess he's a good line mate to have for Shelly. LaRose has been pretty quiet, but he's on the third line. Don't know if he's getting any power play time. McGillis and Anisimov pretty quiet. So the bottom 6 is relatively quiet in terms of points. Michkov really good, and yeah, Shelly's returning to form, I think. A little bit. I don't know if he's on the first line power play, but he's on pace to definitely have a better season in the last 2 years, so maybe his contract is going to start being worth it or not. Interesting. Gallagher, not terrible. And then Redmond has been pretty quiet, but he is a youngster. He has no power play time, so we might want to get him some power play time. And then defensively, not really much points from our back end. But everybody's plus on the defensive core. So our defensive core has been simulating pretty good, but I'd still like to get in Riley, which I don't really know who we should be moving out to get him in. Like, I don't know. I would really like to get Riley in so he could help out our power play and whatnot. And then goaltending has been amazing so far, but how the heck does Pettersson have a losing record? I don't even know. Pettersson is 4-5-4 with a 931 and a 227, and Jones has been amazing with a 6-2 in record with a 929. Okay, so our goaltending has been great, and our defensive play has been great. It's just more about getting that top 6 scoring, or bottom 6 scoring. But everybody on this team is pretty much plus at this stage, which is kind of interesting. So despite our record being a little bit weird, we are a pretty good team for the most part, just a little bit of offensive inconsistencies. And final thing I want to check. I still don't know if we should be calling up Hornquist and getting rid of one of our goalies or not. We could always just wait till next season, because he probably will have a great year down there. Final thing we want to do is just take a look, I guess, quickly through the trading block. Even though we probably won't make any trades next episode, because I don't know if I'll get the rest of the season done in next episode. I just want to kind of take it a little bit slow. But I think our team is doing okay defensively. It's just more about getting a third-line scoring forward, maybe. Because now that Sadikov is gone, we don't really have that sniper down there. I mean, Gallagher's technically that, but he doesn't seem to be producing that well. Swayman's already been thrown on the block, but he was signed to a 4-year deal. Wow. Interesting. But yeah, I didn't expect Hornquist in the AHL to jump up to being an NHL backup goalie. Thomas Chabot there with 6 years left. Jeez. There is definitely some trade options out there, and Nolan Patrick automatically got thrown on the block. That is really annoying. We tried to offer this guy a contract. He signs in Philadelphia, and then he automatically gets thrown on the block. Because he would have helped us out a little bit, but Sharangovich has been a pretty good acquisition, I think, for this team. Just hopefully we could re-sign him on a decent deal. Jesse Pull-Harvey, that's an interesting one, but doesn't really fit anything for our team. Gavrikov. Mark Scheifele, there's a top-line center, but he's dropping off a lot. He does have a good amount of points this year, though. But he doesn't fit anything for our team. Ehlers has multiple years. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of our Arizona Coyotes franchise mode. So in next episode, we might continue to make some changes to this team to try and get the offense going a little bit more. But right now, our team has been really good defensively, and maybe we're just going to be a good defensive team this entire season, depending on how the goaltending continues to play. So let me know what you guys think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.